Hello, and today we're going to be looking at a scenario where Persia and India unite. Let's get into it. So, yeah, two totally not random nations uniting, and the color is totally not based off something else. Yeah, totally not. So, this is weird. Why would just Iran/Persia and India just unite randomly? I don't know, maybe to beat Pakistan together, but that's what they're gonna do. So Persian forces India might be able to hold out Pakistan, but it would be pretty hard for them to beat with the entire Indian force. But they will be able to go and beat them down south. But they will be able to push back in the Kashmir region in the north. But with Persian troops in the west, the Indian and Persian troops will be able to do this and connect the territories. And with 200 million people, which is about, and with all the population and people fighting, eventually Pakistan will put up a lot of resistance, but eventually after a long time of fighting, Pakistan will capitulate. Let's look at a peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. So now Persia and India are connected, and they decide, instead of naming their country India Persia, they decide to name it Persindia. Yeah, totally not a name I've heard somewhere online before, but now they're going to go after Afghanistan. Afghanistan, the graveyard of empires, at first will be able to push back greatly because they're the graveyard of empires. Actually, they would be able to push taking the Irani capital and making Persindia surrender. Just kidding. Because Afghanistan, with all the troops around it, will be very, very hard to fight in. But eventually, after many years of fighting, Afghanistan will fall. Let's look at a peace treaty. And, this is the peace treaty. Afghanistan is fully annexed. And, this post-Indian empire is now going to attack Bangladesh. There. And this is still going to be very hard to fight in, as this is a very populated country, just like Pakistan. But eventually, this thing, after many, many more years of fighting, and it takes a while for the troops to arrive, eventually they'll be forced to surrender. Let's look at a peace treaty once again. And this is the peace treaty. So far, Persindia is probably the strongest country in the world, with a lot of armies. But, Cole's still totally not familiar. Now they're suddenly invading the UAE. And, UAE is still a pretty hard country to fight in. Until, that's a few countries. But Persindia will be able to go in and capitulate the UAE, and eventually we'll be able to push into Oman and Qatar, and eventually up into the areas that they totally haven't conquered before in another universe. Totally not. And with troops coming through here, and the Persindians are pretty strong. Fighting the strongest country in the world is pretty hard. And then they just come up with a peace deal. Let's look at that peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. So, Persindia's made an empire, and now they're going to go after Malaysia for some reason. Totally not in proximity to another universe. Yeah. So, Persindian forces will be pushing into the side of Malaysia, and they will take this half, and then they are going to accidentally go down here and start invading here. Yeah, that's an issue, because now Persindia is at war with Indonesia. Persindia will be able to send their armies in, and they will be able to land on this island. Pretty sure Wait, what's this island called? Is it called Socotra? No. That's this island over here. I don't know what to call it, or what it is called, but they will be able to take over a pretty big chunk of this land. But then the Indonesian forces arrive and will be able to push the Persians back. And the Persians are having failures in these areas. The areas they kind of want to conquer do include this area though. So they will invade from behind, and with them invading from behind, they will be able to take this area and force all these armies to come back. Then they will be trapped and surrender. And then they will get down to here and then make a landing on the island of Borneo. And when that happens, they will be able to go up and take a bunch of this territory around here and eventually be able to force the entire island of Borneo into capitulation. And then the battle for Java is very, very hard. Many years of fighting later, And this will force into Indonesia and Malaysia into surrender. Let's look at that peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. And also with this thing, they invade, and that makes sense. And now there's a colony that they have. And who are they going after next? Oh yeah, Tanzania for some reason. For some weird reason. So they will be invading into Tanzania and will be able to go ahead and take this river area. And eventually, after a long fighting, more and more Tanzanian ships will be able to blockade this area. But after many years of fighting, the Post-Indians will make landings and will be able to force a capitulation. So let's look at our peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. So they're making an empire that totally doesn't look familiar. Yeah. Okay, why are we in South America? Why are you going after Chile? So the Post-Indian armies will be landing in Chile, and they decide to just go straight after the capital, and they take it. And will force Chile into capitulation. Let's look at a peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. There's one more area that the two rulers of this nation, or maybe the seven oligarchs, are going to want to conquer. They want Alaska. And let's just say the United States is in an economic depression. And they sell Alaska over to the Americans. Yeah, Americans sell Alaska over to the Post-Indians. Yeah, and they are going to spend a lot of money on this, and now their economy is crashing. But that won't stop them from going after some of their countries, and they will be going after Iraq. Some of the residents of Persia, who look like they're from another universe, say they have memories here that they don't remember from invading a sort of Mesopotamian country that doesn't really exist, but eventually these countries will fall. Let's look at that peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. Yeah, full annexation. But then, some certain countries are going to unite in the Middle East. That's weird. Why is there all of a sudden a big purple Middle Eastern nation? And it seems to have the name Old Empire. And it said it wants some territory. Oh, I forgot about you, Thrice. It said to want some African territory for some reason. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Why has Myanmar suddenly changed their color? And why do they claim over some rightfully post-Indian territories? Yeah, so they have claim over this territory. And now there's a dispute between the two countries, the Bangladeshi country and the post-Indian country. But now post-India is going to invade into Nepal. Quickly, post-Indian troops will be pushing in, and because of the harsh terrain, after years of fighting, capitulation. Yeah, that's weird. And the world is looking at this like, what? And, but then something weird will be happening in post-India. Ooh, and Great Indian Country Rebellion? Rebelling in the Indian parts of post-India? Where have we heard that before? Yeah, totally not from another universe. But the old empire's invading now. And they take their supposed capital back from Iraq. And now they're invading into Persia. And post-India is collapsing because they spent a bunch of money on Alaska. And then, they're going to take that. And quickly the Indian country rebellion, which is where a majority of the people and military forces will be able to take a bunch of this territory and a lot of it. And eventually, with the old empire and the Indian rebellion fighting the post-Indians together, the post-Indians will be forced to into capitulation. Let's look at a peace treaty with all these colonies divided. And this is the peace treaty between the old empire and everything. So, there's a Tanzanian country, and the color is totally not familiar. Some other countries here that totally don't have familiar colors. Same thing in the Americas. Alaska has a color that's totally not familiar. And same thing with Chile. Maybe Alaska's a little less recognizable, but maybe. Oh, there's also a Bengal country here that color is totally not recognizable, and an Indian country here. And post-India is now this. Now, some stuff is going to happen in India. And India is going to release 3 countries whose colors still are totally not familiar. And the world is in an economical crash because post-India now is not in rule. Yeah. And after a couple years, the world goes into another war, and the old empire and India are going to be fighting post-India. And as they go, post-India is not as strong as it was before, and is being absolutely destroyed. As eventually the lines will look something like this in the end. Let's look at a peace treaty. And this is the peace treaty. So, I don't think it's going very well for post-India. But also, post-India is a puppet of the old empire. Yeah, that's cool. But also the old empire got some other lands that I don't want to talk about. And it's said that they got lands from Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Russia, a bunch of the Balkans, and in Africa, a bunch of lands. It's said they got. They also might possibly in the future get some lands from Chad, but who knows? And that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. See you next video, and bye!